want to know which one of these phases, turnings that we go through, where man, leaders, fathers, husbands, presidents, police officers, local, people say, it's okay. Let them do whatever they want to do. You're saying this happens regularly. I believe it. City of Corinth, where, hey, look at all the stuff that they're doing. But then now it's as if you don't accept this as the norm for values and principles, you're the problem.
So what happens by the end of the fourth turning is that one authority is in charge, right? So authority is enforced. And the morals and values become conventional again. Always happens. Always happens. You look at how people dressed by the end of World War II as opposed to how they were dressed going into the late 20s, going into the 30s. You look at how America became after the Civil War, kind of your Victorian image of respectability. We all become more conventional by the end of the fourth turning, always. And I talk about that in the book. So that's the answer to that question. Because along with community, it's conventionality that supports community. Think about the American high. Very community-oriented, very conventional culture. The two things buttress each other, right? So if you're looking forward to that kind of morality, things aren't said, things are said, are supportive of conventional norms, you have something to look forward to in the next 5, 10, 15 years, because that's where we're moving, right? But it moves in that direction under the brunt of urgency and conflict and national mobilization.
Yeah.
But that it all goes together, and that's what I try to bring out. Here's what you're going to get by the end of the fourth turning. You're going to get much greater community. One community, not different tribes, which we have today. You're going to get greater equality. That always happens. And by the way, we can talk a little bit about economically how we're going to achieve equality, because some way it's going to be, ripping off rich people. Inflation, number one. Always an ingredient in fourth turnings. We can talk about that. The next thing
you move your phone on this side, I think it's picking up some stuff.
The next thing you're going to get is authority, right? One person in charge and one set of norms in charge, because that's what the new regime is going to be. The new regime is going to be very powerful. You're also going to get a renewed commitment to the long-term future. This is where we build our huge long-term infrastructure, huge new institutions. Toward the very end of the crisis and at the very beginning of the first turning, that's when we make our long-term investment. Totally unlike today, where we're mortgaging our future. We talked about that earlier. And then finally, this movement from defiance in the culture to convention. So that's where we move. And I play it out. Now,
when you say conventional, you mean traditional? Is that kind of a good word?
Well,
to
convention.
replace it?
The Latin root of convention means calling everyone together. It's kind of like everyone moving together in one set of values which reinforce time-tested norms.
In order for that to happen, there has to be a very, very high level of fear, right? And a high level of fear to commit, because
I think you're beginning to understand it now. Patrick, you're.
I think in I've been in many different situations where, you're in a setting where a fight breaks out. Everybody has very strong opinions. They realize only one guy's in charge. It's that guy's terms. My mother's family didn't like my dad because he had a very strong personality. But when every one of their relatives stole money from them and they needed money to know who they could give that would never be lost and you can always get it back, it was only one guy you trusted. That was my dad. But it was always on his terms. So if you went to him, he says, this is how this works. Boom, 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 right? In Iran. So people eventually went back to strength, even though they didn't like the fact that that person with strength was right based on certain values and principles. You were forced to go through it because you made shitty decisions and your back was against the wall. I don't think America's back's against the wall yet. So now let's go back. Hang on.
But that's the scenario we're headed.
So that means if shit's going to hit the fan, Neil, and let's just say shit hitting the fan could be a civil war, Can I just say,
10 years ago,
Yeah.
we didn't even, Civil War was so far off our radar screen, we never even have survey questions about it. But starting about 7 years ago, we started asking it, particularly after, 2016 and 2020 and everything.
Right.
Now it's about half the population thinks it's likely.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.